Ooh, a piece of candy. What? Shit! Ah! God damn it! Holy! Oh my God! Who put a hole in the middle of the ground? What's going on with ya, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. And if it isn't, remember, hey, I fell in a hole. Well, you're definitely a little ahead of me when it comes to terms of don't let the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Today, guys, I'm going to be breaking down a Traptrix deck profile that I have upgraded to Oblivion. Traptrix is extremely strong. You can actually win a lot with just 3 structure decks, but I know a lot of you guys are wondering, what would I do to make it spicy? Of course, in today's video, not only will I be showing you the spicy build, but I'll also be showing you a budget build because, I mean, it's just too strong too. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on in and show you exactly what I have in mind. I have taken Traptrix to the next level. Okay, so starting off with the monsters, some of the most important monsters for the deck are your starters in Traptrix Mantis and Traptrix Marmello. Now, Traptrix Mantis allows you to add a Traptrix monster, and Marmello allows you to add a trap card, but both of them can activate when special summoned to the side of the field. Mantis allowing you to be able to quick effect return a set spell or trap card, and then Marmello being a mandatory effect to destroy a spell and trap card that actually does come up when you special summon Traptrix Sarah to your side of the field to get its other effects. From there, the extenders are 2 copies of Traptrix Dionea, 2 copies of Traptrix Aerocompa, and 1 copy of Traptrix Vesiculo. Now, Vesiculo is actually the Traptrix that I completely hate. I actually do not like this Traptrix, but I acknowledge it because it can be an extender by sending a whole trap card to your graveyard, but also, or a set trap card to your graveyard, but also can get you resources back. And it is a plant monster that you could special summon from your deck to your side of the field. These two, in Dionea and Aerocompa, are amazing Traptrix monsters, and they're really good for the late game, but more importantly, Dionea is to use to be able to set up the trap card that you sent to the graveyard, and Aerocompa can be used as an extender and to protect your back row. Lastly, it's just 1 copy of Traptrix Pudica. Pudica in the field spell are like, they're bad and good. They serve as decent extenders, but the best thing about Pudica is that it actually can banish an opponent's monster on the field, and we can trigger the effect of Sarah to summon itself to get rid of an opponent's monster, which could be critical for their turn play. That's it for the Traptrix monsters. The other extender that I want to talk about, this card is phenomenal, probably should be tested out in every Traptrix deck, is 3 copies of Parallel Exceed. This card allows you to be able to extend a little bit further and get into your deeper plays. Now, for the hand traps, I decided to play just 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring and 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. I did also decided to play 3 copies of Evenly Matched, and one thing I love about this particular deck is that both Evenly Matched and Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring are from the structure deck, so it's pretty cool that you get a board breaker Yu-Gi-Oh card and one of the best hand traps in Yu-Gi-Oh right now in the form of just $30, which is phenomenal. Infinite Impermanence and some of the other cards that I'm playing in here, I'm going to explain a budget variant a little bit later, but Infinite Impermanence is actually a lot cheaper and is easy to get. I believe the Cyber Strike structure deck has those, and that's just another $30, and you get parts of a Cyber Dragon deck. So what separates this deck from a lot of the profiles that you've been seeing is that I take this a little bit further, and these cards make the deck so much more fun to play. Now, the good thing is that these cards aren't necessarily mandatory. They're pretty optional, but boy, when I show you these combos, you're going to be like, yo, that's kind of cool. There's 1 copy of Therion's Discoliseum, 1 copy of Therion's Regulus, and 1 copy of Therion's Loliborea. Now, I tried playing these at multiple copies, and you can get away with that, but it's not really necessary. One thing I will do say is that playing this package, in order to make it consistent at most times, you do need to play 2 cards in your extra deck, which are cheap, but unfortunately, you know, there's 2 cards in your extra deck that you have to play. A good thing about this is that the deck doesn't necessarily need its extra deck, so it can really be played. From here, there is just 1 copy of Traptrix Garden. What I found really interesting in this particular deck is that I didn't need Pot of Prosperity. This deck is fairly consistent. And then another thing that I figured is that there's only 2 spell cards in this entire deck because of that. Of course, you can play Pot of Prosperity if you want to make the deck a little bit more consistent with what it is, but through my testing with not only Top Deck TJ, during the stream and after the stream, as well as a lot of great players inside of my Discord, I really didn't need anything else to make the deck a little more consistent. So this deck is still fairly cheap. For the Trap Hole cards, 3 copies of Holtea. I do not think that this card should be played at 3 other than consistency reasons, which actually makes me want to play Pot of Prosperity. But getting into this card is really, really important. Fortunately enough, any one Traptrix monster plus a Traptrix monster effect can get you into the Holtea combo, which is really good. But overall, I think that this card is really good at being able to summon itself. It has so many combos with the deck and is a great extender. 2 copies of Gravedigger's Trap Hole, 2 copies of Floodgate. I actually like Gravedigger's Trap Hole because it stops you from being Nibiru. It stops you from being Ash. It stops you from so many things in the game. If you do fear that your opponent is going to hand trap you, you immediately make Traptrix or Flacia, and then you have Gravedigger's Trap Hole to be able to stop them from one play, and then the second Gravedigger's Trap Hole to stop their normal combo. Only 2 Floodgate. Didn't think you needed more than 3. Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare. This card is actually up to debate. I think all of these ratios are up for debate in the Trap Hole cards, but I like Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmares because it's extremely good against Kashtira. This card, the only reason why I don't play 3 is because it is one of the only Trap Hole cards that's once per turn. 1 copy of Time Space Trap Hole. This card's actually completely bonkers, guys. It's really good against Sprite, so it's like I really like that about Time Space. 1 copy of Void Trap Hole. Now, Void Trap Hole was the replacement for the 3rd Terrifying Trap Hole, but I'm still not 100% sold on this particular card. One thing I do like is that it does negate the monster effect that's being summoned, and then it does get rid of it. And then lastly is Bottomless. I'm not going to cap. This card actually is good. I'm playing it not only because I have a CP version, but it actually is a powerful Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's really, really good. Who would have thought that in 2023, Bottomless Trap Hole would be in a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh deck? Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the extra deck. There's actually a lot of controversial things that you're going to see in this particular extra deck, and I think having controversy with a particular deck is nice because it does open players' minds and allow them to grow forward and maybe even try out these things. Maybe you like them and maybe you don't. In this extra deck, I only play 2 copies of Traptrix Sarah. Now, the reason why I only play 2 copies is I seldomly needed the 3rd. The only time I've ever needed a 3rd Sarah is that if I have to link into Sarah and then link into another Sarah in order to make my Aroma Seraphie Jasmine. But the cool thing about this is that Sarah can actually be special summoned through your Traptrix Holtea. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to have no Sarahs in deck. It actually does come up. So like, I rarely miss the 3rd Sarah, and it's something that I've been playing around with. But of course, you can play 3 Sarahs if you feel comfortable with that. And then just 1 Traptrix Adipus, and this card facilitates game. I don't play the Link to Traptrix in Kirlia because this card just never, ever really came up. Like, there was times where I'd have Jasmine and I can summon additional plant monster, and instead of making this card, I would make the Kirlia, but it just didn't feel really strong. For the Exceeds, we played 1 Excited Knight, 1 Baguska, 1 Almaris. I'm going to destroy these card names. I apologize. 1 Ping, 1 Rafflesia, 1 Time Thief Redoer. This card's insane. So here's where the 2 packages come in, and it's 4 cards. You can drop this package. It's really good because this actually helps you unbrick Springen's Merrymaker into Gigantic Champion Sargus. What this basically does is that it turns your monsters like Time Thief Redoer into an extra destroy or bounce on your side of the field, but it also searches the other Therion cards you need so you can eventually get into your graveyard so you can summon the other one to your side of the field. It also is a machine monster that comes up when you put it in the graveyard, and you can summon Witcher Therion King Regulus. Next is Rika Strenner and Sacred Tree Beast Hypertron. I think that this combo is just ridiculously mandatory because it gets you back into your hand sequence, or it gets you back into your most important card, which I think is Dionea, and then it also gives you a negation for free, as well as into your Therion combo. And last is 1 Divine Arsenal Double Zeus. Now, again, if you guys can't afford some of these cards, that's perfectly fine. I think everything in the extra deck is relatively cheap except for the Zeus. Of course, you can start maxing out on your Sarahs if you guys can't afford some of these cards, which is perfectly fine. Moving on to the main board, let's say hypothetically you can't afford the Therion engine, which has been going up in price. Now, I actually really do like the Therion engine in here, but I acknowledge that it's not mandatory. Everything else in this deck is pretty easy to get into, and relatively cheap. So it's probably going to be maybe 60 bucks or so to be able to get this entire deck without the Therion engine. You can go ahead and drop these particular cards. And what I would play instead, I would probably play another Pudica. I don't necessarily like this card, but I understand its relevance. We can increase the amount of Traptrix monsters in our deck and play another field spell and use that to be able to gain additional summons, which allows us to pump out rank 4s. Excuse me. I would probably play another Floodgate Trap Hole. This card's amazingly good at flipping your opponent's monsters face down. Kind of like how we be flipping them. Never mind. But to be honest, you really could just play the Pudica in the additional field spell, and you'll be at 41 cards. So I always kept that in mind for the budget players, that you don't necessarily need to be able to like go ultra expensive for this deck. It's actually fairly competitive without it. Now, some cards that I want to talk to you guys about that I'm not playing. I think that Traptalizing Tune is a terrible card. This card requires you to discard a card to draw 2 cards, meaning that it's trade-in. Now, the reason why trade-in isn't powerful is because you have to give up a card and hope to God not to get Ash Blossom. Players will Ash Blossom Pot of Desire. So what makes you think they won't Ash Blossom this card, which will actually lose 2 cards out of your hand every single time? I do not think that this is a good card. Harpy's Feather Duster, of course, you could play it inside of the main board, but if you're a budget player, I think it's a good idea. If you're not a budget player and you can afford other cards, then it's probably best regulated to the sideboard. And Raigeki is a really nice addition to the entire deck. You could also play this card as well, but it's not necessarily needed because there are situations where you don't care about whatever board your opponent monsters make. You just set up your Traptrix combo and then you're going. But now that I'm done with that, let me show you guys some of the cool combos that I'm talking about. Here with you is just the standard 2-card combo, Mirmello plus any trap card. You probably will find this combo in almost every single video that involves Traptrix, except this one's going to be a little bit more spicier. You're actually going to love the potential that this deck has because I decided to play a couple of different cards. So again, Traptrix Mirmello plus any trap card. It's a little bit better when you have a trap hole card. You're going to start off by normal summoning Mirmello, using the effect of Mirmello to add Traptrix Holtea. And then you're going to link off Mirmello into Traptrix Sarah. From there, you're going to set and activate the Holtea because it can be activated the turn it's set by discarding a normal trap card, special summoning it to your side of the field. Triggering the effect of your Traptrix Sarah, you'll special summon Traptrix Dionea to your side of the field. Dionea will then activate to be able to set Bottomless Trap Hole, and then Traptrix Sarah will then activate again to be able to set the Floodgate Trap Hole. Now, it's really important that you leave one of these monsters into the first column, your middle column, or your last column, because from here we're going to link off with the Traptrix Dionea and the Traptrix Sarah this time around. Doesn't really matter which one you're going to do. We're going to link into the Aroma Seraphy Jasmine. Jasmine's effect will tribute off the Traptrix Holtea to be able to special summon Therion Lily Borea. And then we'll use the effect of Lily Borea sending itself to the graveyard to add Therion Discoliseum. And then we'll activate Therion Discoliseum and then add the Therion King Regulus, attaching the Borea into the Therion King Regulus. So you, on paper, it may look like you gave up your Traptrix Sarah to be able to get an additional disruption through Therion King Regulus. But what a lot of people do forget is that Holtea can just activate its effect to summon the Sarah right here. So in this particular situation, you actually have the effect of Therion King Regulus to negate. You have Floodgate Trap Hole and a Bottomless Trap Hole to be able to ruin your opponent's cards. Traptrix Sarah can activate its effect to be able to special summon a monster from the deck to the side of the field into a monster like Traptrix Pudica, which is another form of disruption. And then on your following turn, you can actually use the effect of Jasmine to tribute off your Sarah again, and then special summon more monsters from your extra deck, like particularly maybe the Veseculo, and then keep playing on with your plays. It actually makes the deck a little bit more explosive. Those Therion cards really help. So in the next combo, I'm going to be showing you why Traptrix Mirmello and Parallel Exceed is completely crazy. Essentially, Mirmello or your Traptrix Mantis are like insane, huge combo points here. But let me go ahead and show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to go ahead and start off by normal summoning Mirmello. Mirmello will use this effect to add any Trap Hole card from our decks to our hand, not Holtea. So I'm going to add Gravedigger's Trap Hole. And then I'm going to actually link off the Traptrix Mirmello. We're going to link into our Traptrix Sarah and then trigger the effect of our Parallel Exceed, summoning itself to the side of the field, and then summoning another one from our deck to our side of the field. From there, we're going to Exceed summon with both of our Parallel Exceed monsters. We're going to actually Exceed summon into our Traptrix Pingulica, and then we'll use the effect of Ping to be able to detach one material and add one Traptrix monster from our deck to our hand. Now, if you plan on going into a Exceed combo at your end of your turn, you're going to add Traptrix Compa. If you plan on follow-up, you actually may want to add a Traptrix Mantis or another Maramello from your deck to your hand, because you can either make a Traptrix Rafflesia or a Therion King Regulus at the end of your sequence. Because I did activate the effect of a Traptrix monster, I can trigger the effect of Sarah to set Traptrix Holtea, and then this Holes in this house is going to activate its effect, discarding the Gravedigger's Trap Hole to be able to special summon Holtea, triggering the effect of Sarah again to be able to special summon Traptrix Dionea to your side of the field, and then triggering the effect of Dionea to be able to set the Gravedigger's Trap Hole. So, right here, we're going to go ahead and use our Traptrix Sarah and our Traptrix. Actually, we're going to go ahead and use, it doesn't really matter, but we'll use our Traptrix Dionea and our Traptrix Trap Hole. You have a couple of options right here, but I think the best option would actually be able to make the card that I was talking to about, Enrica Strenna, and then you'll use your Traptrix Sarah and your Traptrix Ping. You'll go ahead and tribute or link both of these monsters into the Aromaseraphine Jasmine. So the reason why I made Strenna first is because if you fear Nibiru, you actually make Strenna, and it's really good because if your opponent does Nibiru you can still trigger the effect of Strenna to be able to get a rank 5 or higher plant Exceed monster to your side of the field. But from here, since we do have a Traptrix Sarah in our graveyard, which is a plant monster, we will detach one material from Strenna, which is going to be the Dionea, and then we'll add it to our hand. We can then use the effect of Aromaseraphine Jasmine to tribute off the Strenna. You can summon your Therion Lily Borea right here, but I want to show you the importance of Traptrix Vesicula. We'll summon Vesicula right here, then we'll use the effect of Strenna. Strenna will special summon itself back to the side of the field, and then attach a Sacred Tree Beast Hyperion to it. So now you have a monster effect negation, but if you activate a spell and have a spell in your graveyard, or if you activate a trap and have a trap in your graveyard, you also have a spell in or trap negation as well. We'll then finish up by special summoning our Traptrix Compa, and then using both of these monsters for an Exceed summon. And my favorite monster to go into right here would be the Traptrix Rafflesia. The reason why I like this board is because a lot of players think that this deck is just back row heavy, when we can actually make some pretty good monster disruptions too. Keep in mind, we also have the Traptrix Holtea to be able to special summon the Sarah, which means we have a pretty nice board. And then another crazy thing is, since we have Traptrix Dionea in our hand, which is extremely good right here, we can actually, oh, I forgot, you actually supposed to trigger this effect to attach a parallel Exceed to it because you did activate a monster effect. We can actually have follow-up through the effect of Traptrix Dionea, special summon a Traptrix Maramello to your side of the field, or if you never use the effect of Holtea, and this entire board does get wiped, you can then start off by activating Holtea, special summon Sarah, normal summon Dionea, Dionea summon Maramello, trigger the effect of Sarah, and now you actually can have some serious plays. Now there are some super combos in this deck. I have a lot of things to put on Patreon, but I'll be sure to actually put some test-ins on Patreon of this deck as well. Just be a little patient for me, guys, as a special thanks for helping me with my editors. But the super combo does not actually involve Traptrix Maramello. It involves Traptrix Mantis in any Trap Hole card, or really any trap card, but, well, no, actually, yeah, it's any trap card, but Gravedigger's Trap Hole or any Trap Hole card works best. We're going to normal summon Traptrix Mantis using its effect to be able to add Compa. Then we'll link off our Traptrix Mantis into our Traptrix Sarah, trigger the effect of Compa to summon itself to the side of the field, which will trigger the effect of Sarah to set your Holtea. Use the effect of Holtea, discarding Gravedigger's Trap Hole to summon your Holtea to your side of the field, and then trigger Sarah's other effect that will allow you to special summon Traptrix Dionea. Dionea's effect will set a Gravedigger's Trap Hole to the side of the field. Now we combo. Keep in mind, guys, we are locked into only summoning plant insect monsters, which would be a drawback if this deck just did not care. Now, it's really important here that we put at least one plant monster in the graveyard. Fortunately enough, Traptrix Sarah is a plant monster, so it almost doesn't matter. We will Exceed summon with both our Dionea and our Arrow Compa into a Rika Strenna, and then we'll link summon with our Traptrix Sarah and our Holtea. There's some holes in this house into our Aromaseraphine Jasmine. Now, the effect of Strenna will detach the Dionea, since we have a plant target originally in the graveyard, to add our Dionea to our hand. And now Jasmine will tribute off the Strenna to be able to special summon a Therion's Lily Borea to our side of the field, but then that'll trigger the effect of Strenna. Strenna will summon itself back to the side of the field, and then on top of that, we'll get a Sacred Beast Hyperion. Lily Borea will activate its effect, tributing it off to be able to add a Therion Discoliseum. You can then trigger the effect of your Hyperion, I'll attach the Aerocompa to my side of the field. We'll then activate the Therion Discolor Sim, and this is where I actually wish that I had spell cards, more spell cards in the deck, because instead of attaching a monster, I would attach a spell. Now we get a spell monster negate, which I think is cool. But Coliseum would allow me to add Therion King Regulus, and then Regulus will summon by attaching the Libram. In this particular sequence, we go monster heavy, and that's something that players don't see coming. But of course, I use that in just a 2-card combo, so since I play so many trap cards, odds are I may have 2 to 3 trap cards face down, and my board can very much look like this at the very minimum to a board that looks like this at its maximum, which is extremely scary, really creepy. Your opponent may not be able to beat this. And that is all that I have for the Traptrix deck profile. Again, if you guys want to see me actually learning Traptrix and playing it in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Challenge, you can go ahead and check out this video. And if you want to see more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh! Content, of course, just check out this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.